Alrighty, yeah, thanks, Robin. David Elliott here for 580 WIBW News. Topeka Police Chief Ron Miller is about to hold his monthly crime meeting. Jim Doblin is live at the Law Enforcement Center with more. Jim, what's the chief expected to talk about today?
Well, this, David, is the yearly wrap-up, actually, for crime in Topeka, comparing 2010 stats with 2011. And surprisingly, David, that the numbers in crime-wise actually not as bad as we had originally thought. Crime overall in Topeka jumped a little less than 0.5% from 2010 to 2011. A lot of the crime, the violent crime, happened in the third quarter, the spring and summer months, but the chief says a lot of the violent crime was put under control, except for the high-profile cases, of course, in the fourth quarter, the fall and winter of this year. And that, he said, is largely due to the Gang and Violent Crime Task Force, the temporary task force he created earlier this year, that he says really has put a clamp on some of that gang-related activity. Of course, the Moe's Express situation notwithstanding. Now, the chief says one of the interesting things the chief is going to bring out today in the task force meeting, the quarterly crime stat report, is that he plans to make permanent that crime, the anti-gang and violent crime task force. It was 38 members, a 38-member squad. They're going to put it down to about a dozen, but make that permanent. He is in union negotiations right now with the police union to make that happen. Back to you.
Thanks, Jim. An Ottawa man has pleaded no contest to charges that he took more than $90,000 from a 95-year-old woman while serving as her guardian. Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt says Guadalupe Mora was charged with theft and mistreatment of a dependent adult.
We allege he had put himself in a position that he was able to get access to her finances and then spent a significant portion of those finances on things that benefited him, not benefited her. That's illegal. We charged him. And we reached, I think, a satisfactory agreement this week where he pled no contest and the court found him guilty of 2 criminal counts related to mistreatment of a dependent adult and theft.
Guadalupe Mora will be sentenced later next month. The AG says that as part of the punishment, they will request that Mora will be made to pay restitution of the money he took that from the elderly woman. The judicial community in Kansas is mourning the loss of one of their own. The oldest living federal judge in the history of the judiciary passed away Monday night in Wichita. U.S. Attorney for Kansas Barry Grissom says Judge Wesley Brown's absence will be felt.
He was an incredible jurist, an incredible man. He was originally appointed to the bench by President John Kennedy and has served with great distinction throughout his career, and he will be certainly missed.
Judge Wesley Brown was 104 years old. Drivers near Memorial Stadium in Lawrence will have a hard time forgetting former Kansas football coach Don Fambro. Lawrence City Commissioners voted Tuesday to rename a portion of 11th Street near the stadium to Fambro Drive. The change will create an intersection of Fambro Drive and Fambro Way. Kansas officials already plan to name a private street just west of the stadium to Fambro Way to honor the coach who died in September. The new Fambro Drive will intersect with Missouri Street. Fambro, of course, was renowned for his dislike of the Jayhawks' main rival, the Missouri Tigers. Both street names are tentatively scheduled to be unveiled at Kansas' spring football game in April. Fambro had 2 four-year stints as coach in the 70s and 80s at the University of Kansas. And lastly, Republican presidential candidate Newt Gingrich says baloney to the idea of keeping U.S. hands off Cuba. During a forum today with the Spanish-language network Univision, Gingrich said Cubans deserve freedom and that he would be open to using everything up to covert operations to replace the Castro regime. 49 and cloudy here in Topeka and 48 over in Lawrence. Here's Dave Relihan with your forecast.